There are stories scattered across cultures and centuries. A person sits quietly, and suddenly their perception shatters open. No drugs, no ritual drama, no years of preparation, at least on the surface. Just an explosion, overwhelming light, boundary dissolving, a sense of unity so vast it feels like death and birth at the same time. Some call it awakening, some call it enlightenment, some call it a nervous breakdown. Science can measure brain waves, but can it explain why such explosions happen? Stay with me, because the mystery isn't just spiritual, it challenges how we think about reality itself. What is a spiritual explosion? By spiritual explosion, we mean a sudden, radical shift in perception. The sense of separate self collapses. Time feels unreal or absent. Reality appears unified and luminous. Fear of death may vanish instantly. Meaning floods consciousness. These experiences are not mild mood changes. They can permanently alter personality, values, and worldview. Some emerge from deep meditation. Some happen spontaneously while walking, grieving, or even washing dishes. The transformation can be immediate, and that immediacy is where science struggles. Science explains mechanisms, not meaning. Modern neuroscience can observe correlations. Brain scans show decreased activity in the default mode network, the system associated with self-referential thinking. Certain neurotransmitters may surge. Patterns of neural synchrony may increase. But here's the limitation. Science describes what is happening in the brain. It cannot fully explain why the subjective experience feels infinite, sacred, or ultimate. A scan can show neural firing. It cannot capture the felt sense of boundlessness. Mechanism is not meaning. Correlation is not explanation. There is a deeper philosophical challenge known as the hard problem of consciousness. How does electrical activity in neurons produce subjective experience at all? Not just spiritual awe, but any experience. The redness of red, the feeling of love, the sense of self. We can trace pathways, but we cannot bridge the gap between matter and awareness conclusively. If science cannot yet explain ordinary consciousness fully, explaining its sudden expansion becomes even more complex. Spiritual explosions are often nonlinear. A person may meditate for years with little dramatic change, then suddenly breakthrough. Science prefers gradual cause and effect models, but many systems in nature are nonlinear. Water heats slowly until it suddenly boils. Pressure builds along fault lines until an earthquake erupts. Perhaps spiritual awakening is similar. Years of subtle internal restructuring reach a threshold, and then perception reorganizes instantly. The explosion may look sudden, but it may be the final tipping point of long preparation. One reason these events are so difficult to analyze is that they involve the collapse of the very structure that observes. The self, as constructed by memory, narrative, and habit, dissolves. The observer disappears into what is observed. Science studies experience from outside, but awakening is described as dissolving the inside outside boundary altogether. When subject and object merge, the framework of measurement becomes unstable. It's like trying to measure a ruler that has melted. Psychiatry sometimes classifies sudden spiritual states as psychosis or mania, and sometimes clinically That's accurate. But there are differences. Psychosis often fragments perception, awakening often clarifies it. Psychosis increases fear and disorganization. Authentic awakening often increases compassion and coherence. The outer behavior may look strange in both cases, but the inner structure differs profoundly. Science struggles because its categories are built around dysfunction, not transcendence. Science relies on repeatability. If a phenomenon cannot be reliably reproduced in controlled settings, it becomes difficult to study. But spiritual explosions are deeply individual. They are shaped by culture, nervous system conditioning, and readiness. You cannot force enlightenment in a laboratory. You cannot demand transcendence on schedule. It emerges unpredictably, and unpredictability challenges scientific modeling. Another reason science struggles is that spiritual explosions are saturated with meaning. They are interpreted through cultural lenses. A Christian may see divine grace. A Buddhist may describe emptiness realization. A mystic may speak of union. The neurological event may be similar. The interpretation differs. Science can observe patterns, but meaning lives in narrative, and narrative shapes transformation. Ignoring meaning reduces the event to chemistry, which may miss its human significance. Science excels at third person observation. It measures from outside. But spiritual awakening is fundamentally first person. It is about direct experience, not external behavior. You can describe someone's brain state, but you cannot stand inside their awareness and verify infinity. This creates an epistemological barrier. Some dimensions of experience may require participation, not observation, and that challenges the scientific method's current tools. It's important not to frame this as science versus spirituality. Science is incredibly powerful within its domain, but it may still be developing frameworks for studying consciousness deeply. Fields like contemplative neuroscience are emerging. Researchers are exploring meditation, psychedelics, and non dual awareness. Perhaps what seems unexplainable now is simply ahead of our models. History shows that scientific understanding evolves. Phenomena once dismissed often become studied seriously later. So why can't science fully explain sudden spiritual explosion? Because consciousness itself remains partially mysterious. Subjective infinity cannot be reduced to neural diagrams. Nonlinear transformation resists simple cause and effect narratives. Meaning cannot be extracted from measurement alone. Science can map the footprints, but it cannot yet fully capture the walker. The explosion may not violate physics. It may simply exceed current explanatory tools. If this expanded how you think about awakening and science, share it with someone who loves exploring big questions. Like this video if you are fascinated by consciousness, and subscribe for more deep dives into mysteries where science and spirituality meet. Because maybe the real explosion isn't in the brain. Maybe it's in the boundaries of what we believe can be known.